Thank you, Mr. Garrison. The Housing Vancouver plan that you were reporting on today, when was it approved, and when does your benchmarking start on this plan?
So the Housing Vancouver strategy was approved in November of 2017.
2017. So then you stated that it was, my understanding was that the plan was looking outward 10 years from that
That's right.
point.
Yes.
So it's 10 years from 2017 outwards then.
And we did do our first progress report back, tracking progress last year in 2018. So we did our first annual progress report in the spring of last year, where we started to shift from our measures from our previous targets to our new targets and those sorts of things.
So the targets, as I understand it, are 72,000 units over a 10-year period.
Yes.
I'm concerned about that because I've looked into the census numbers, and in the period between 2011 and 2016, my understanding is that we saw a population increase of 4.6%. or around just under 30,000 people. And that if we project outward to 2021, which is the next long-form census, that we would be seeing a similar percentage rounded up to, say, 5%, which would add another, get us up to about 660,000 population. Mm-hmm. And yet I saw in the target 685 as population targets. How do you reconcile that 25,000 difference?
Yeah. So the targets that we've set in Housing Vancouver are a combination of a number of things. And that's really because they represent not just the need to address growth, but also the need to address the shift to quote unquote the right kinds of supply. So the housing targets in Housing Vancouver are a combination of a couple of things. One of them is how much housing of what type is going to be needed to accommodate growth. The other is looking at existing unmet need in the community. For example, households that spend more than 50% of their income on housing and other things. So those targets, the 72,000, is not just about growth. It's also about backlog of need that exists in the community.
Isn't it true from the census that we measure household? The average number of people in household is 2.2 per household, and we know what population growth is projected to be. And if we were to use these population growth numbers that are evidenced through the long-form census and compare them to the targets that you have in the housing, it would be more like 1 for 1 in terms of population growth versus housing starts.
Yeah, I think certainly the numbers you're talking about sound right to me. Again, the shift that we're trying to make is around both meeting growth, meeting unmet need, understanding that there's some development that's going to happen under existing zoning that isn't about the city necessarily incentivizing it, and understanding that we need to make some policy shifts to try to incentivize the kind of housing that we do
Right.
need. Like
do you have that slide that I asked to be put up? I really want to hammer home and have this conversation. I know that I'm limited to 5 minutes here, but I point out in 2016, according to CMHC, there were 9,756 housing starts, which was basically double the 20-year average. So this shows that we have been building more than enough supply, but to your point, the wrong supply. My concern is that we have inflated the numbers in looking for 72,000 units over a 10-year period that would be in excess of population growth on a 1 for 1 basis, not even a 2.2%, which is the average number of people per household. So I just bring this up, and I bring this to Council's attention and to staff, because I think this is going to require a more fulsome discussion around the underlying assumptions that are behind the housing plan. So thank you for acknowledging those points.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.